Wanderers, Season 9 is here, and the Spiritborn is slated to be the #1 class this season. Now, that is all subject to change once we get into the season and we actually get to feel how it is. At this point, though, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. I'm going to share with you my absolute favorite leveling build. If you love leveling poison and you love playing poison builds, this is going to be the build for you. This is going to run with my favorite ultimate, the Devourer. There's going to be a lot of poison that's going to go out everywhere. It's super fast. It's very, very mobile. If you love builds like that, this is the one for you. We're going to break down the planner so you can see exactly how this is going to work. This is just a leveling guide. This will not have an endgame option for you, but this will be an incredibly great way to get yourself from level 1 to level 60 very, very quickly and efficiently. We're going to break the planners down by level 1 to 25, 26 to 40, and then 41 to 60. As you go through each level of the planner, you're going to be able to find all of the dungeons and where they unlock. You can only get these aspects inside of dungeons, so you won't have to rely on RNG to make sure that you find the ones that you're going to be wanting. Now, if you look at the level 41 to 60, this is where we're actually going to start getting some of the ones that you can have only drop. It'll be linked in the planner as well, so you can figure out which ones those are, and you can keep track of the ones that you're going to need. The reason we do it that way is by level 40, you're going to start seeing a lot more legendary pieces of gear drop, so that's when you should start to find some of them. If you don't find them, then you just keep on the stuff that is in the previous variants, and then that will get you right to level 60. For the skills, it's actually broken down the exact same way. If you look at the level 41 to 60, we've spent all of our points. This one, we've actually only spent 50 points here, and then we spent 38 points here. Now, we're going to start with the 41 to 60 when we look at the skill tree here. If you click on this little button right here, and this is why it's very important that you follow along with the planner. The planner will be in the description of this video. You're going to click this button. It's going to expand everything. You can now zoom in, you can zoom out. You don't have to pause the video and then try and put your points in and then play it again. You are going to come up to this little button right here. This is the leveling path. You click on this button here. It opens up this menu on the side. This menu is going to be how I put my points in during the leveling process, not what it looks like on the screen. If you follow along with what you see here put in, you're going to spend too many points and you're going to miss out on a lot of different abilities that you would have unlocked if you follow the leveling path instead of just going through and putting in all of the skill points. So we're going to just cover this. You follow along with the path here when you actually go to play the game. For the very top here, we're going to be taking Wither. We're going to go all the way up through Sharp Withering Fist. Every third attack is going to spread poison. Coming down, we're going to be going 3 points into Vigorous. Casting a core skill is going to increase your Vigor generation. Vigor is what you're going to be using to cast your core skills. Balance Exertion, your core skills are going to deal more damage, but they also cost more Vigor. Velocity, you're going to generate 3 Vigor per second while moving. Stinger is going to be one of your main abilities and one of your main sources of damage here. This one is really, really fun. It has this green effect on the ground that is very cool to see. We're going to go all the way down through Rampant Stinger. It's going to deal increased damage. It's also going to take all of the damage that it would have hit from all of the enemies around and kind of focus that damage. So you're going to see big bursts of damage when you get groups of monsters together. 1 point into Mirage so that we can unlock Unrestrained Power. You're going to deal 12% increased damage while unhindered or unstoppable. Ravager, this is what we call an Incarnate skill. You have a passive and an active. When we take this, we always have a minimum of 2 stacks of ferocity. When we activate it, it's going to unleash a Savage Roar, causing each of your attacks to trigger an additional 40% damage strike per enemy for 6 seconds. We're going to come all the way down through Measured Ravager. While Ravager is active, your core skills are going to instantly dash, and all of your Vigor generation is going to be increased by 30%. This is what is going to allow you to kind of bounce around. 1 point into Focal Point so that we can unlock Apex. You're going to deal increased vulnerable damage, and you're going to double that damage versus elites. Diminishment, vulnerable enemies now deal 15% less damage to you. 3 points into Endurance. Casting a defensive skill is going to grant you Vigor. 1 point into Patient Guard so that we can unlock Auspicious. You're going to accumulate 3% of your maximum life as barrier up to 30%, and that happens every single second. Taking damage is going to prevent that accumulation for 2 seconds. Armored Hide and Enhance Armored Hide. This is going to give you maximum resolve stacks, increase your Thorn's duration, and is also going to grant Unstoppable for you. Scourge, all the way down through Reinforced Scourge. Casting Scourge is going to give you 60% of your maximum Vigor generation over 6 seconds. It also is going to give us a really big damage multiplier, and it's going to fear and slow monsters away. If you're in a pinch and you use Scourge, all the monsters are going to flee away from you, so you can kind of get yourself healed back up. 1 point into Anti-Venom, so we can unlock Nourishment. Your healing is going to be increased. Whenever you heal, your poison damage is also going to get increased. We're going to be running Resilient here. Casting a Gorilla skill is going to grant you more maximum life. Ravenous. Centipede skills are going to deal increased damage, and then you're going to double that if you're fighting an elite. Oppressive, your Centipede skills are going to deal 12% increased damage to crowd control enemies, and you're also going to gain crowd control duration. Coming down, we're going to do 1 point into Resolution, so 1 point into Spiritual Attunement, and then 3 points into Supremacy. Any enemy that you kill while you have an ultimate active grants you stacks of Supremacy, each increasing your damage by 3% up to 30%. When an ultimate skill ends, you're going to gain 5 stacks. You begin to lose those stacks once every second. For your ultimate skill, we're going to be running the Devour. This one is my favorite out there. It's so cool to see this gigantic centipede pop up. Poison goes spraying everywhere. This is a very long cooldown also. This lasts for 15 seconds. So if you build your character right and you get enough cooldown on this, you can actually have the Devourer up following you around 100% of the time. Coming all the way down to Exalted Devourer, while the Devourer is active, if a non-boss enemy's life remaining becomes poisoned, they will die instantly. Unleash a Pestilent Swarm that deals 30% damage per hit to enemies it passes through. So if the monster has 25% life left and their poison damage becomes 25% of their life, they are instantly executed. For the key passive here, we're going to be running Noxious Resonance. Your critical strikes causes your poison on enemy to burst. It's going to deal 180% of the total poisoning damage instantly to them. 20% of that burst is going to go to surrounding enemies before removing the poison effect on the primary target. So that's your skill tree. Now let's dive into the aspects here. The way that we're going to break this down, we're going to start with your 26 to 40 because that's going to be exactly the same as your 1 to 25. And then we'll go over all of the ones that you're going to find that are going to be a little bit different in your 41 to 60. We're going to be starting here with a Disobedience. This is going to give you some armor when you start attacking. The Aspect of Might is going to give you damage reduction as long as you cast it once every couple seconds using Withering Fist. Any basic skill gives you that damage reduction. Inner Calm. You're always going to get the base bonus of damage having this on. If you do happen to stand still for a couple seconds, you're going to be able to triple that bonus by standing still. Deflecting Barrier, you have a chance after taking direct damage to gain barrier equal to 20% of your maximum life. This is going to get doubled against distant enemies. Ghostwalkers is going to give you some movement speed whenever you become unstoppable. Aspect of Retribution, whenever an enemy is stunned or knocked down, we're going to deal increased damage. Voracious Rage, killing an enemy or hitting a boss with a core skill refunds a percentage of its base cost. Can only happen once per skill cast. Aspect of Umbral, you're going to restore primary resources whenever you crowd control an enemy. And then we're going to be running Aspect of Expectant. After attacking an enemy with a basic skill, you're going to increase the damage of your next core skill within 5 seconds by up to 30%. So those are all the ones that you can find in the dungeon. Now, it's really great that you can find all these in a dungeon, but what does that mean and how do you make it really, really easy to do that? When you come into the game, you're going to open up your Codex of Power here. You can type in at the very top anything that you want, whatever aspect you're looking for, you just type it in. But what this is actually going to do, once you type in what you're looking for, it's going to pull up right here. If it shows that it's in a dungeon or drops from an aspect, we're going to go to this option right here where it says Pin on Map. You click on that, and when you bring up your map, it actually is going to pin the dungeon that you're going to be looking for. You don't have to Google what dungeon it is or where it is. You just get to have a pin, hop on your horse, and then go there. Now let's look at all of the aspects that are going to change when we move into our final version here. We're going to be adding Forest Power on. This is going to give you a 25% chance to create a Mystic Circle. Those Mystic Circles are going to empower you to periodically grant barrier whenever you're casting a Gorilla skill, which is going to be all of our skills, and we'll talk about that in just a second. We're also going to be swapping out for Creeping Death. You're going to deal increased damage over time to enemies for each different crowd control effect you have on them. Now, we're going to be able to do quite a bit. We have Fear, we have Slow. There's going to be a bunch of different ways that we can get some crowd control and then do additional damage to them. Unstoppable enemies or staggered bosses are going to take additional damage over time from you instead. We're going to be adding in Soil Power. When you create a Mystic Circle, casting a Centipede skill is also going to periodically apply poisoning damage over seconds to enemies within that circle. Aspect of Pestilence. Stinger now is going to spawn Pestilent Swarms at its target's location. They're going to deal up to 75% of Stinger's base damage per hit. The swarms are now going to last 50% longer, and they're going to spiral outward. For anybody that got to play a Hammerden in Diablo 2, this is going to be basically a poison Hammerden for you now. So those are all the aspects that are going to be changing when we swap over to your final version of the build. For your Spirit Hall, we're going to be running Gorilla here. This is going to be your main. This will give you a barrier every time that you cast a Gorilla skill, which is going to be any of your skills, because they now all become Gorilla skills as well. You're going to have Poison and Gorilla combined together, even though you won't actually be using a Gorilla skill. This is also going to be how we're activating some of our skill tree. For your secondary, we're going to be running Jaguar. This is going to increase your maximum ferocity. You're also going to gain 1 stack of ferocity whenever you kill an enemy or you're going to be damaging a boss. For your runes here, we're going to be running Yak's Lum. Anytime that you drink a healing potion, you're going to get back primary resources. And then we're going to be running Kur Ke. This is going to be a way to give yourselves wolves. These wolves are incredibly strong. They consistently apply vulnerable damage. They also freeze and stun enemies. For your Heraldric spell here, we're going to be running Disintegrate. We're going to pair that with Corrosive Vapor. This is going to apply some poisoning damage. Tranquil Stone here, invoking your Catalyst, is going to make you unstoppable. Shifting Powder, this is going to give you a 70% movement speed, which is very, very welcomed during the leveling process. And we're also going to be taking Invigorating Helix. This is going to heal you and fortify you for 10% of your maximum life. For the gems, just put in whatever you can craft during the leveling process. It's not really too important until you get into the end game. For your mercenaries here, we're going to be running Rahir. This is the only other way to help fortify yourself as a Spiritborn. Rahir is going to do that for you. And then for your opportunity, we're going to be running Bariana with Bloodthirst. That's all I got for the Poison Spiritborn. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you share it with your friends. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm live every night. I'd love it if you stopped by, said hi, theory crafted with me. Catch you on the clip side.